Hi, Rambler parents. It is Mr. Mead, and it is the 23rd of October, the last day of quarter one. And I just need to share with you before I start my video an amazing, heartfelt thank you to all of you. First of all, thank you for watching my weekly news. But most of all, thank you for the hard work that you have done with your children this last quarter. I need to be totally honest with you that I have never seen so many kids in a virtual school doing so well. Vast majority of kids finished early, and they finished with really, really high quality work. I have done this for other districts. I won't name them, I guess, but two other districts specifically. Actually, three other districts I've been involved with the virtual, and it's McBain is really an exceptional community to see these kinds of grades. If you haven't yet seen your child's grades, you can look for another day or two on the grade book. Go in, log in, hit grade book. It'll show you all the grades that they've earned. And then obviously, as soon as I'm done with this video, I have already printed out most of the report cards, and we'll be stuffing envelopes, which will be mailed out next week. And you will get your report card, and hopefully that'll go right on the refrigerator with the good grades. I'm so proud of my students and of this community for the good work that you've done. And I hope that you take some time to celebrate with your Rambler once that report card comes, whether that means getting a special treat at the grocery store, or maybe stopping by Burger King for a happy kids meal or whatever they have. Something to recognize the good work that they've done, because this has been a very successful first quarter, especially given the time constraints that we had getting it ready. So thank you very much for that. When you get your report card, it should look pretty familiar. It'll have the grades for the different classes on there. It will also have, and I don't have one right here with me, but a small half sheet of paper stapled to the top that's just a report from the company that we work with that shows how many hours your son or daughter spent on their classwork. Just for reference, this really is not about how much time the kids spend. It's about, can they do it? And that's the neat thing about virtual. I was just talking to Mrs. V about that, about how sometimes kids end up spending 2 or 3 days in school learning about a math lesson that they've already mastered. They don't need to spend 2 or 3 days of class time working on a skill when they already know how to do it. And that's the nice thing about virtual, is they can take the quiz, they pass the quiz with 100%, they're on to the next lesson. And so it's not really a fair comparison to look at how much we're spending versus how much is in school. It's just a totally different way of doing things. But it can also kind of inform your decisions if your child isn't getting the grades that they wanted. And you look and say, well, is it because you haven't been spending the time on it? That it can help you with those discussions. And it's also just good information to have. So I thought I would go ahead and staple that on there with the report card. In addition to that, I've got some special things I'm going to put in the envelope depending on your child's grade level. And the biggest thing, and I've left them on the other table, but I've got a green sheet that you can hang on your refrigerator that's just and this is for kindergarten, first, second, third, and fourth grades. Fifth grade, I'm leaving you out of this for now. But it's just a paper that you could stick on the fridge that kind of hits some of the big rocks for each grade level. Like, for example, third grade. By the end of third grade, kids should be pretty fluent both reading and writing in cursive. They should be very comfortable with multiplication and pretty comfortable with division. By the end of fourth grade, they need to know their division and multiplication pretty much instantaneously. But not everyone knows those things. So I took some time and I put that on a single sheet of paper, which you can stick on the fridge, as well as some resources so that you can help your kids practice those things. Those are the kinds of things that typically end up being homework anyway. Learning math facts and things like that. That usually ends up kids practice that at home, just like they would with spelling words. But it's not built into the curriculum that we're using. And so I thought, well, I should just make sure that everyone is aware of that. I also put down resources to help you with your kids. A lot of times, especially with the math facts, the iPad apps that are already on your child's iPad can help them to practice those things. And the great thing is you can do it anytime, any place. You don't even need an internet connection in most of those apps. So if you're driving to grandma's house, you're going to the grocery store, and even if you don't have your iPad, you can always practice math facts. Just ask your son or daughter, hey, tell me 3 times 3. What's 5 times 3? What's 5 times 7? And just make that a part of your routine to help them to stay sharp so that when they come back to school, they haven't lost anything. That's a skill that they'll be using for the rest of their lives. I also, and I do have this right here with me, have sight words for kindergarten, first, second graders. These are the sight words that we use here at school. By the end of kindergarten, the kids should be very comfortable with the first two lists. By the end of first grade, I think it's almost to the end, I think through list 7. And by the end of second grade, kids should not only be reading these words instantly, but they should also be pretty comfortable spelling a lot of them. And so I wanted to make sure that all parents had that list. You're welcome to work on that with your Rambler. And I'm also going to be incorporating some of these things into my weekly FaceTime meetings with the kids, so that in addition to seeing where they're at academically with their coursework, pulling out my flashcards and saying, hey, let's do 6 or 7 and see how you do, how comfortable you are with it. And it's neat. I already had one student last week. I was talking with him, and it turns out that he has been working hard on multiplication already. 3rd grade student, and he's already got them memorized. He's worked ahead on that. It's exciting to see. Okay, also don't forget that I also have a report card. I've had 15 different families who have responded to the survey, giving me feedback. I really need that. I've already got some good ideas based on the feedback on things that I can do differently or improve on. And I very much value your input. Also, many people were very kind about how much they're enjoying the program and enjoying working with me. And let me just tell you from the bottom of my heart, that's reciprocated. I've really enjoyed getting to know more families here in McBain. Normally I get to know my students quite well, but I've also gotten the chance to get to know many parents and grandparents through this process. And so that's been very special for me, and I appreciate that. Finally, before I go stuff envelopes, we've got a new virtual PE class that Mrs. Sluter and I were working on, and I'm going to give you a link to that as well. You can check it out. Kids will log in using their regular Gmail username and password, and it's through something called Seesaw, which is what the kids are using here at school. I don't use it a whole lot because we've got the Edgenuity product, but they will get to know that, and it's basically the first lesson is pretty simple. You go to it, and you can click. It's called a Bitmoji Classroom, and you can click on different spots on the screen to see different things. You can play the music, you can do the jump rope or the dancing, and then it's designed so that when the kids have practiced the PE skill, they can hit record on their iPad and then submit a video to the PE teacher, who can check it out and see what they're doing. So I hope that you're able to have fun with that. It is not a graded class, but we do want to make sure that we're still making opportunities for kids to get some physical education instruction. And then my next goal is to get some music instruction in there too. So hopefully that'll be within the next few weeks. Thank you so much again for all that you do every day, and especially as we celebrate the end of our first quarter, very successful first quarter. And I hope that you have a wonderful weekend with your family. Thank you so much.